Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on.
Hello. Welcome. It's shine time. We're here to wake up and shine on. And today we are shining on the topic of abundance and jewelry expression. We got a lot to share. I'm Selo, joined by my partner, Shannon. Shine.
What up, guys? Thanks for listening. I'm always excited to talk about abundance and cool things.
Yes. Shannon is a lover of cool things.
Definitely.
And you make a lot of cool things. Ever since I first met you, you've made cool things. I came into your house, and the coolest thing was this huge wooden owl that blew my mind. My friend Selena was like, she made that. I was like, holy shit, what? You made the owl?
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces to that owl. I made that owl my senior year of college. I had to put together something in the box. It's like kind of a frame, but it's a really big representation of the wisdom of the owl and the transformation that I feel like the owl symbolism brings. Mm-hmm. So I was at that time. I think it's interesting that was like one of the first things you noticed when you came to my house, and it's we were both chasing the owl spirit at that time. We both had a really deep connection to the owl.
Yeah, following the owl. I remember the owl appearing to me in 2008 or 9, in between then, when I lived in Florida and I worked at the horse farm. I saw an owl in a little part of the woods that I would always run through to get to the horse farm from the house that we lived in. There's just a little slice, a little trail that was so cool. I saw banana spiders that were huge. And one time I saw an owl just staring at me. And I wouldn't say I was really awake to the level of spiritual awareness that I have right now, or that I had when I went on my trips in 2011 and 12, but I was spiritual. I just wasn't into it, really. I wasn't very connected. I guess I had lost my way, distracted by the things in life. So I saw the owl then, and I didn't know what it meant, but it really caught my attention. And throughout my journey, it became more and more prevalent until the end of 2013 into 2014, and really peaking when I found the wooden owl. And then I had the experience where I fed an owl here.
Yeah, you've had several really intense owl experiences since I've known you.
Yeah, owls are...
Let's talk some more about your owl experiences before we dive into other creativity. I think the owl is a really big representation for so many people. So I was chasing the owl because I kept having owls in my dreams, and I had seen a big owl, a barn owl, on a barn, basically. It's like a big shed that's in my family's property, and I had been going through the shift of my grandmother passing, and I'd always seen owls as change, and I think our friend Selena had mentioned that owls were change too. And a couple of my kind of spiritual girlfriends at the time, they were really into owls as well, and they were also going through huge transformations, and it was all like we started having these owl synchronicities. And then I met you with the owl synchronicity, but then I saw the owl right outside my window, and I feel like we've seen probably that same owl together. I think we talked about it in a different podcast, where we saw the lightning, and the owl on the shed. But you fed an owl. I love your owl story. Tell that one a little bit more.
Okay, so I don't know if I shared this one yet, but I was I was trying to take a mouse that we caught in the house, and I was taking it outside, and it had a little bit of a limp. So I kind of felt bad. I brought chocolate with it, and I let it out near this trail that I thought it could run away, and I had a light so that I guess I could see it, and I thought it would help it see around, but then I was basically shining a light on a mouse in the middle of the night.
Oh my goodness.
And all of a sudden, I feel this wind on my back, and I hear this flap of a huge wing, and it flies in front of me, and it has to be like 4 feet. Oh man, the wings were so long. I freaked out a little bit, and it swooped in really fast, and then all of a sudden it disappeared really quickly. And I just watched that little mouse disappear into the darkness.
It's a circle of life, dude.
It was a circle of life.
That is... You came in and you were just like, holy.
Okay. I yelled, holy shit. I yelled that so loud, louder than I meant to. And because it just freaked me out, because it was such a magical moment, It's a scary moment because you were just watching something get taken to get eaten. But it was so powerful.
I don't know. Maybe the owl thought you were hurting it, so it thought it was rescuing it from you.
Yeah. There are some cool owl movies, and there's this one, I think it's an animated movie, and it has Elijah Wood, I believe, the dude who played Frodo. And it's about this owl who overcomes adversity and becomes a savior to his community. And it's just such a beautiful movie. Guardians or something like that.
That's awesome. I always really loved the owl and Winnie the Pooh. I think that's where I got the wise old owl energy from too. He's like a nice wise character.
Yeah.
I
commercial with the lollipop.
I was thinking that too. The how many licks the lollipop? There was an owl in that one. My grandma loved those lollipops. She loved those lollipops.
Yeah.
When she passed away, we found a bag of those lollipop wrappers.
Did they all have stars on them?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember having so many wrappers.
I'd always look for the stars on them.
That's interesting. You like stars. So I have another owl story.
Yeah.
So you spoke of the big wooden owl, which I hope to share a picture of the wooden owl in the Facebook group, the Bring Me to Life Challenge Facebook group, because I love that owl. I would love to.
Yeah, if anybody's listening
eventually
and you want to see this picture and we haven't posted, remind Shannon.
Yeah,
so she can post it.
Post picture of owl. But that semester in college, when my grandma was really sick, I saw the owl on the barn, in a lot of my art themes, or my themed projects were based around owls in different ways. So I went to college for several different things. I started out, I think it's so interesting how spirit has led me down these different paths. So just real quick side rant. First I went for like animation and like video and things like that.
Programming too.
Yeah, I wanted to make videos. I wanted to make commercials and like entertain people. But then it was like, I went to a school that was just really outdated. And I was like, by the time I learned anything here, the internet, like spirit was like, the internet's going to be far beyond this.
Yeah.
So I learned the basics of like the Adobe programs, which is pretty sweet. And anyway, spirit led me to coming back and going to college for like photography and art and business and science and things like that. So I really got sent on a different path. But that's when I started following the owl. I had like an owl energy when I lived up in Pittsburgh and originally went to college that kind of led me home. So I thought it was interesting that my freshman year of college, there was an owl. And then basically my senior year of college, there was an owl that like guided me outward of it. And I did another project, and you talk about how I create a lot of things. I like to try different mediums. Let me tell you, I have a deep hatred for paper mache. Like, it's messy. It's not, it doesn't do what I want.
It's tough. It bounces.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it does bounce because you know. So I had to make a big owl. It was a really cool project. I had a partner. This kid was like, I like to make basically like dioramas, or is that the right word?
Diorama.
Like the miniature.
Sounds like a body part.
What?
Diorama. It's your diorama.
What's like a little figure, like a little castle
Diagram.
Or whatever.
Is that a drawing? A diagram?
No, you know how kids like to take shoe boxes and like make little cities and stuff
Yeah,
in them?
those are cool. Those are really cool.
Okay, but they make like little worlds out of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he liked to make like he wanted to make like a miniature world for this group project. We had to come with two different styles from these like artists we picked out of a hat. Anyway, his artist was really naturey, so he wanted to make like a miniature nature world. And he's like, I want to make this like castle. And I was like, okay, make your little castle world thing, like, you know, World of Warcraft type stuff. Like, we make characters. He was really into that stuff, so he made that. And I had this artist that made like these huge statues of animals. So I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I get to make my owl. So then my teacher said she got to pick like a material we had to use, and I got freaking paper mache, and I was ticked because that's like my least favorite thing to use.
Thinking, just not paper mache?
Probably because this was like right before, or like right at the same time I was reading about law of attraction, and I just was not sure how to implement it properly. Yeah, so it backfired. You know, when you're in class and you're like, not me, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that
Definitely.
happened.
Well, it's because you have one thing on your mind. And obviously, if you have one thing on your mind, it's going to happen.
Law of attraction. It's so funny. But yeah, so I ended up having to make a paper mache. So I was like, I'll just make a big paper mache owl. It'll be great. Well, anyway, my grandma ended up getting sick, so I spent a lot of time in the hospital, so I had to do it last minute. I'm rushing around. I made this owl, and it was like this huge owl, and our teacher gave us this like bird cage, and he put his little castle in it, and it was supposed to be like the big owl spirit was protecting this castle. It was actually pretty cool. But then I was like, what do I do with this big owl?
Did it look cool?
I think so. I mean,
what kind of grade did you get?
I mean, I always got an A because I was one of the only students that actually cared. I was that student.
So it was in college, and it was an art project in college.
Yeah, but I just love art projects.
And you got an A.
Yeah.
Did you have to present it in front of the class or just to the teacher?
Yeah, we had to present it. There wasn't very many people.
So you had to
in that class.
explain what it was for, like what it represented.
Yeah, we had to have like a theme behind it and like a story, and like you had to have a partner, and you had to bring two different like major artists, or like we had to do this big report on like artist, and we had to talk about what their energy was or what we thought their process was, and we had to combine them. So he did his little castle figure, which he did pretty good job. I was impressed. Like, he was one of the only other kids in the class that actually like cared and put effort into his project, because I felt like a lot of people just took it as like an extra credit, or like it was art, and I was like, I'm in it, I love this. And it was like really soothing for me, but I felt like all my projects were rushed because my grandma was dying and I was trying to learn energy healing and things at the same time. But anyway, this owl, like focusing on the owl and birds, and like I did a lot of chakra. I had to do like a group series, so I did chakras, and it was really cool. There was a lot of my art styles you see now. If people check out my art, it was based off of this big shift I had my last year of college, and I started diving into chakras and energy. I painted a lot of angels, and like angelish figures or energy figures. There's a couple paintings and drawings I did of basically like you and I, right? Because I met you right as I graduated. So you got to see that shift. But anyway, so I want to tell this owl story. This owl, I made this paper mache owl. I didn't know what to do with it for a long time. So I kept it kind of in my art shed and was just like, oh, eventually I'll get to it. Well, every time I kept seeing this owl, it reminded me of how my grandma was sick when I had to make it and how I was rushed. My grandma also hated paper mache. So she was teasing me as like one of those like last things she teased me about in the hospital. So it was just like, haha, you have to do this project. And I was just like, of all things, like she's getting a kick out of me having to do paper mache. So anyway, when I saw the owl, it kind of made me emotional. Well, one night, I think it was pretty close to when you fed the owl. I like went outside and I was taking out the trash and I was like, I'm just going to get rid of this owl. But I was in an emotional like...
So you had the dude's castle too?
Yeah, for some reason I ended up with the whole project. Like, nobody...
So she didn't take her birdcage back and he didn't take his foam...
Nope, I had the
castle
whole...
back.
I had the whole art piece.
They didn't say anything? They didn't even try to get him back?
Well, the guy worked at FYE for a while, and like last year I went to buy those kitty headphones when I DJ'd for a little bit, and he checked me out and he's like, hey, you might not remember me. I used to have like glasses and we did an art project together. I made a castle. And I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I kind of wonder what happened to that. And I was like, well, no one ever came back for it. So I ended up with like everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it might still. I think I kept the castle. It might still be there somewhere in my art shed.
I think I remember seeing the castle somewhere.
I know the cage is still there. So if anyone's listening to this, I probably still have your castle and your cage. But my owl, I took into the middle of the road when I was taking trash out, and I was having an emotional experience. And for some reason, I just felt like it needed to be smashed. Like that part of me needed to be released.
You
like,
want to smash it.
Have you ever had a moment where you just wanted to release things?
There's many times where I want to smash something.
I'm pretty not even smash thing. I feel like I recall a story of you burning all of your things at one point.
Yeah, I was watching the Into the Wild, a little bit of it the other day, and he burned his Social Security card. That's what I did. I burned my Social Security card. I burned my high school diploma, and I burned all these things.
White privilege. People get mad when people do that kind of stuff now.
I know, and I think it's funny because now I'm like, well, I just had to get all that back. But I'm trying to create a better system. Play the game as well as I can because that's what it is. It's a game. So I'm going to try and play it as best as I can and win it, because the ultimate goal for me would be to win it and allow people to live a much better life on this planet where they can do the things they love, like express themselves and make art, or just even explore this world, because this world's so beautiful and there's so many things that we can enjoy here on this world.
It's true. It's true. You know what I didn't enjoy? When I tried to take this owl and smash it, it decided that it was going to fight back. It literally, I threw it at the ground, at the road, and thought that I was going to make it explode, because I thought it was like a piñata, you know? They're made out of kind of like paper mache.
Was it hollow?
I think I had like a balloon or something in it to like make it into an owl shape. But it was really, really, really thick. Like when I made the paper mache, I think I used like a special glue that made it even sturdier because it was falling apart. I hated paper mache, so it was super sturdy. That thing bounced off the road and came back up in my face and smacked me right in the third eye chakra. Talk about an owl experience. No, it was just like me and its third eye like bounced off each other. It was like
third eye bump.
Yeah, and it was so funny because like in the moment I wanted to be so mad, but I couldn't stop laughing in the way I felt like it was my grandma kind of laughing at me for some reason. Like I feel like it was just something very comical. It like had to happen in the movie of life the way it did. And I did get a little mad because I felt like in the moment it was almost like what my character needed, but I still just like laughed at it at the same time. Like, what an experience. And then I felt bad kind of getting rid of it, but I did kind of like break its wing and I just couldn't anymore. It was like a great release for it. So it was really cool.
Yeah. Sometimes sometimes we feel aggression and it's okay as long as you can get it out in a healthy way. You're not hurting any living being by expressing whatever you felt. And sometimes like those things will come back and get you.
It bounced right off and right in my face.
Yeah, so
Oh my goodness.
if you're gonna try and throw something, just watch out. Watch your face.
Just be careful when you try to release things, because some things go with a vengeance. But on the plus side, I have that big wooden owl that I got out of that senior year, and it really impressed you. You love it. You talk about that thing all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was impressive. It was like, ooh. It was like, ooh. When she said you made that, really shifted my perspective on who you were as an artist.
It's definitely different than anything else I've made. I want to make more things like it. I just haven't had a space because it's made of hundreds of little tiny wooden pieces.
Yeah, it's a biggie.
Yeah.
Takes up a lot of space.
That's one good thing. I mean, not all colleges make you think outside the box, but that was a cool project. It pushed me out of my normal artistic limits.
Yeah.
I feel like I've pushed you out of your artistic limits a lot, and you've expanded so much.
Definitely. Yeah, like making the jewelry, making the rings. I've been making a few rings and kind of hammering some metal out and working with copper. So far, I'm in the very beginning stages. It's been really awesome. And I don't know, I like copper a lot. I think it's great.
I like it too. Copper is actually really beneficial to you. It helps balance out the other metals and things in your body. So I've really enjoyed it. I've noticed myself gravitating towards it more than silver and gold. I don't mind working with those, but they're so expensive and I feel like overused often. So I've really enjoyed the copper experience. I like that you're the copper to the shine.
Mm-hmm.
We got copper and shine jewelry.
I got a copper beard.
On. Yeah, you got a nice copper. He's got a little ginger in his beard. The very first weekend I met you, I got you making jewelry with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool how much you've grown and that you've been willing to make jewelry with me since the very start. You've been willing to paint with me since the very start. That's been pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But jewelry, you've come a long way from macrameing knots in the tent at Route 5.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that. It was very meditative, and I enjoyed working with crystals, and I just enjoyed being creative with somebody. Mm-hmm. That was really nice. And just being able to work with copper, there's something about it where I feel like I'm working with the elements more. I'm getting more close to the elements, and I'm really making my mark on this jewelry. And it's all so original because anybody could make macrame and put beads on it. Mm-hmm. But not everybody wants to go out and just hammer metal for hours. Mm. But to me, it's very releasing. It's a very healing process. And I used to chop wood when I lived in Detroit for a while, and that was really nice. Just having that physical release and getting strong mentally and physically. So that's what it's like, hammering this metal and working with this copper forming process where we're tapping into the alchemization of transferring copper to the pieces that we form, these unique one-of-a-kind pieces. And we've also gotten to reuse or re-upcycle some stuff that would have just been thrown away.
Yeah, I love using crystals and pieces of different charms and necklaces in a way that people, they think they're broken or they're like unsure what to do with it, and they've saved it and they're like, I know this could be used for something. And I've made a lot of really unique pieces that way as well. And just like some of my favorite crystals will get like a crack or a chip in it, and they're still so beautiful. And there's like so many ways you can alter them with jewelry. And I think that that's something beautiful about creation, is how you can take things and just see them differently, and it's so magical. And like there's a different heritage. I don't want to quote which one it is because it could be wrong, but I know that there's one where if there's like a broken bowl, they fill it with like gold, or they fill the cracks with something very majestic because it shows that it's special in some way and that it's been repaired.
And it strengthens it too. It makes it stronger.
Yeah, and I think that that's really cool about a lot of art and jewelry and things that we've been doing with the more metal processing that we went through. And electroforming or electroplating, whatever you want to call it, has been very healing for me in a different way. It was like I really had to focus on learning the skill and the proper process. And I don't know, I just really enjoy seeing people get joy from something I've made. And to see somebody wearing it and that it brings them joy. I'm not just like selling them anything. It's not made in necessarily a sweatshop. Yeah, I sweat and I cry, I bleed, I put a lot of effort and love when I go into some of my metal shops.
It's made from a person that they know and they've seen and they've experienced your energy and they enjoy your energy.
Yeah, and some of those pieces I've had like an experience with. I've seen them mold. I've seen them transform. I always think it's interesting, like some of the pieces that I don't love the most, like I've put a lot of love in, but they don't necessarily turn out the way I see them because I'm picky at things. Other people are just so fascinated with, and it's like their favorite piece. That's happened to me a couple times where somebody will ask for like a custom order, and I get real nervous and I'll make like a couple different options for the person. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure they'll pick this one. It's like my favorite. And then they typically pick like the one that I think is my least favorite for some reason. Or I'm just like unsure about. But then I realized that I made it because I channeled their energy. It's not necessarily going to be what exactly I want. And I love that artists can do that. They channeling
stuff that are made for people.
Yeah, we know an artist that is really good at that. We worked for a while. Her name is Regina. Regina Holiday. She does something called the walking gallery, and she can just meet a person and not like she listens to their story, but sometimes she doesn't even hear their story. She just makes an art piece for them that represents a energy that they want for her walking gallery that's based off of healthcare. And she'll make characters for the jacket, and people will be like, oh, how'd you know that my grandma looked like that or something? And she'll be like, I just painted it. Like I just followed spirit, and that's what it was supposed to look like.
I love that. I love how Regina does that, and she's just willing to help people share their story and get their voices out there about their healthcare experience. And that's really awesome, and it's cool when an artist can do that. So shout out to Regina and what you're doing out there in Grantsville too, Amish country, up there at the top of the mountain where it's snowing often when Halloween is happening.
Yeah, I learned a lot from her. She has some inspirational books and just a lot of good content and a lot
really
of good
powerful
things.
Speaker. It's got some really powerful stories.
Yeah, and is an amazing artist. I think it's really magical when artists, like you said, can just channel through. And there's been times I've seen other artists, you've done it a couple times too, where I'll have like a piece in mind and you'll feel the energy of it and you'll like go for it. You have a way of picking the exact tools or crystals that I had in mind for a piece, and you're like, oh, I thought that I needed to use these. And it's like we were picking up on that same energy or image and was just trying to make it happen. I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I'm often grabbing something that you have held and decided on an action to take with it.
It's interesting. I'll be like, I'm going to pick this quartz out, and I'll like close my eyes and I'll see the necklace it's in, and then we'll like start making jewelry, and you'll be like, look at this one. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Of all of those quartzes, you saw this, then you went for it. That's wild.
So some of the ones that I got made.
You can check out Selemon's crystals at shineshopping.online. Go to the copper and shine section.
Yeah,
Got
hopefully
some
we'll
cool
have that up
things.
on Bring Me to Life soon too. Start getting some jewelry up in there maybe. Or is that a different kind of website? Is that only a Shine Shopping kind of website? Bring Me to Life doesn't have that.
Bring Me to Life has some actually. You can get to our CDs. You can get to our downloads. I think we have a button that goes to the Shine Shopping website where they can process orders for items. It's easier to go through the Shine Shopping because if you have items, imagine having to keep track of items on 2 different websites and upload items to 2 different websites.
Yeah,
So that's why we
work.
lead everyone to the shineshopping.online. It's kind of like our ultimate merch area.
Yeah. Make sure we'll put that button a few places.
Shineshopping.online.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
But we do have a new Bring Me to Life website that you can check out. It's got lots of content, lots of different paths to get to. So if you like radio, there's radio. If you like TV, you like to be visually entertained, we have the Bring Me to Life TV section, which leads
music
you to different
videos,
playlists.
some really cool videos.
I'm really proud of that website. I think it's easier for people to use. I would love to get you guys' feedback. Let us know what you think.
You can search on it for certain tags.
Yeah, we're accepting articles. We can't promise when they will get posted, but we're always interested in new content and things like that. Takes us a little while to go through things, but we're working on it. Please send us articles that you think are spiritually aligned. That you've written, or
so there's core values, and I think that it shows up in some of the about pages, and the core values are love, equality, unity, and
community.
Community? No, love, equality, unity, and peace, because everybody deserves peace on this world. That's what I think is when we say people should be able to have their own perspective and beliefs and do what they think is the best for their life as long as it doesn't cause harm to others. And that's where the peace comes in. So I think that's why it's like a core value.
Yeah, so we would love to have people that have the same core values or can honor those core values and send us some content. We're looking for articles on energy and gratitude, spiritual, inspirational topics.
All kinds of stuff, that just help people to wake up and shine on.
Yes. We would love to know what helps you wake up and shine on. What are some things that you want to hear us talk about? Always looking for new topics. You can also submit, if you are a musician, you can submit for music to be checked out by our team. And there's all kinds of cool stuff on there. Check out bringmetolife.com. That's with the number 2. We want to hear from you. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. What else are you creating these days? We've been talking a lot about stuff we're creating.
Well, in the last episode, I talked about my meditation CDs, and maybe I can go into depth a little bit more about them. So I have already released before, this is going to air, this podcast, but this one is already out. It's the True Abundance soundtrack, which is just the music for my True Abundance guided meditation CD. And I worked with yourself and 2 others to create the music. So I wanted to make an album of just that music. People can find that on Bandcamp by searching True Abundance Soundtrack. And I'm also going to have, if not already, 2 other meditation CDs. One is called The Healing Path, and it's a more kind of green. It's a little bit of guidance at the very beginning of the album, but then the rest of it is just music. It's music that I, in my mind, thought was say if space had sound, what would the music of space sound like? Because in space there's usually like there's no sound. It's absent of sound. So thinking of everything out there, I put together a little track of what kind of music I thought would be out there.
What kind of instruments are you using?
Well, for a lot of this one, there's a lot of nature. There's a lot of nature in this one. So nature samples that either I've shared, or like other people have shared with me. And the rest of it is music, ambient music that I've created in my program. And then the Calm of the Night is a winter album that I put together that is a good winter album. There's the first track, which is a healing storm. It sounds like a winter storm out, the wind's blowing, and then it shifts from that into a warm, cozy fire where it just warms up the vibes. And then it's kind of chill, laid back music. And at the end, there's just a really healing, progressive sound meditation mix that will kind of bring you back and just kind of fill you with more energy to get through everything.
Neat.
And each album, I've been blessed to use some pictures that our friends have taken, or some of them I have taken. Like the cover of The Calm of the Night is Mount Eldora. It's the mountain that basically I went to on the very first Bring Me to Life series on YouTube when I went out to the Rocky Mountains for the very first time. That's that mountain in the cover of The Calm of the Night.
That's the green one?
Yeah. And I used for there are some, I guess, the aurora colors. It's green, swirls and stuff in the sky. So I kind of layered my picture of the Mount Eldora into a scenic or aurora borealis background. And it's just a really cool image. And then the rest of the pictures that are on there are stuff that I or somebody took of me.
Neat. I love it. I'm excited. I know other people are excited. I've had so many people recently tell me that they listen to your meditations, whether they're going to work. I like to listen to them when I'm going to bed. People are always telling me how calming and soothing their voice is. They're like, oh, your partner's got like the most soothing voice. You must just be calm all the time. I'm like, it is pretty calming. I'd say
Most
I'm a lot calmer.
Yeah, most of the time. But, I mean, we're all human, so don't just think that I'm just calm motherfucker all the time.
He is a human.
I can be wild when I want to be.
But your meditations are actually really great. I really love them. Yeah. I think they're really helpful.
Yeah, most of the time I really enjoy just the calm, cool energy of this planet.
I used to really dislike meditation. I used to not want to sit still.
You were so against it. And
I was like, why are you trying to make me sit still? Like, do you not realize that there's so much going on in my brain? I'm losing all of this time. My focus does not need to be in this moment.
I'm losing all this time. What am I doing when I'm just sitting here? I'm just doing nothing. I'm losing all this time. Ugh.
Well, here was my issue was when I first met you, I was coming out of losing my grandma. I actually met you like in the process of that. And when you're losing somebody and when you're going through such a major life shift, it is so ridiculously hard to expect someone to sit down and meditate. But it is honestly exactly what they need. Because what was happening to me was I was worrying and worrying and worrying what was going to happen to my grandma, what was going to happen to my family, what was going to happen to me, what this. Like what
during the meditation.
not even during the meditation, but yes, during the meditation, but also just during everyday life. Like I felt like, how in the world was I
Constant panic.
supposed to stop? Yeah. And think, and like at the same time, I kind of like pride myself in as being someone that can move forward, and like I always have a new idea. I'm always like, okay, fine, I'll do this thing, or like I'll find something new to do.
A lot of ideas.
Yeah, I have lots of ideas. I'm always on to the next project. But when it comes to like my family and stuff, I'm always worried about what next, because there's been a lot of major shifts.
Yeah.
So when I meditate, or when you expected me to meditate at first, I was like, I cannot be expected to sit here and just think. Like I want to keep busy. I'm a type A personality. I like to keep focused on whatever the project is. But when you finally would get me to sit down and just like, you would take me under a tree or something, and like you would make me turn my phone off or whatever, and we would just sit down, and it was really good for me that was a way that we connected as friends, even not even necessarily as a couple at that point. Like as friends, you were forcing me to like sit down. Like, you want to hang out with me, you're going to sit down and be quiet and hang out with me for a minute. As much as I would follow you around, as you said in one of the earlier episodes, you would also be like, well, I'm going to make you sit down. And you're going to be calm for a minute.
Follow me and be around me all the time, then I like to meditate, so
we're going to do this.
You can do it.
So you made me do it, and I realized that instead of worrying about what I was going to do next, I needed to instead just kind of be grateful, or like organize what I was dealing with in the now versus the future. I'm someone that gets a lot of intuition and intuitive messages about the different timelines and the opportunities and the different possibilities, that sometimes it's hard for me to sit down and think about being in the now, especially if the now hurts, because I was hurting. But when I actually sat down and took the time to kind of face that, it made the hurt more understandable of why it had to happen. And instead of wondering what next, it made me process how I needed to grieve or honor that inner moment. And I feel like that's a lot of what meditation has been about, especially for me.
Well, my theory is that when people go through a trauma and they resist it, then they're feeling a lot more pain, and they're putting themselves through a lot more suffering than if they would just allow themselves to accept it, to feel that way for however long it would last. In a lot of the stories of the ancient times, they would all mourn for a certain amount of time, and it was acceptable to the community. Nobody was afraid to mourn. There's stories of, in the Bible, they pulled their hair, they tore their clothes because they mourned, and people hide it. They try not to mourn, and they're resisting it because of something.
Well, it's expected in society. Like, people don't get time off. People's mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, whoever pass away, and they're expected to show up at work the next day or not leave. And in that moment, people are like often crippled with just grief.
Yeah, there should be some kind of law or something that allows people to grieve for a certain amount of time.
I know people who've lost their jobs for like having to leave in that moment. That they lost somebody that was like the most important person to them in their existence. Like, could you imagine that? Getting fired because you had to emotionally go handle something like that? That's like, it's insane to me that our reality and our society system works that way. We don't get enough time to celebrate the birth of our new generation or to mourn the loss of our loved. Like, what is our community? Like,
well, I think it's a lot of the mainstream is to distract us from what's real and what's important on this planet. I mean, I do love movies for sure, but I also like to live my life. I I sat here and I meditated in this room for an hour and a half before we recorded this meditation, where I just sat with my own thoughts and I let all of them come and flow in and out for an hour and a half. And I loved it, and I feel so much better. And I think it's important for you to let yourself experience everything. Let it come in and out so that you can move on. Because if anything is important, it's going to come back to you. And if it's not important, then just feel yourself letting it go.
Yeah, meditation has been a very interesting journey for me as somebody who was very much not into sitting still and being in my thoughts. Your meditations specifically have been really calming, and I really enjoy seeing how many people get something from listening to your meditations as well as anybody's meditations. People bring it up all the time that they've started a meditation practice, or that they're looking to get into meditation but they don't know where to start. And I think it's really important to find that time in the day. I often don't get to until like right before bed, but I'll tell you, I was somebody that didn't like to sleep either. Like, as much as I didn't like to meditate, I didn't like to sleep as like a younger teen, early 20s. It was really hard. I had a lot of insomnia because I didn't like to think. It made it hard. It made it hard to go to sleep. And since I started meditating, I've gotten some of the best sleeps of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even on rough nights, like, those are some of the best days. Like, if I've had a rough day, it's the best day to put on a meditation before bed, because it's going to make me focus on it rather than whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I highly recommend even just your meditative music.
Definitely. It's like I said, you put yourself through more suffering when you continue to dwell on something and resist it. But it's just, meditation is so wonderful, because you can, just acknowledging stuff, you can heal from it. It's a natural process that happens. You don't have to do anything for it to happen. You get to shift your vibration. I've been reading this book, E Squared. It's the new book that I'm reading now. And she explains God, or she calls it the field of potential, that everything is connected. That you can call in things that you would like to have in this world. You create your reality through your thoughts and your actions. And that's one, she's such a humorous writer. She says that's what Jesus was talking about. And in her words, she says Jesus was basically like, you too are the man. You too have the power to shift your vibration, to do all these powerful things that we could do if we only believed enough. And meditation helps you to unlock all of that. It helps you to heal from trauma. And meditation has changed my life, and that's why I like to do these circles and these meditations. People really like the visuals. They like time to imagine things. I'm noticing more of.
Mm. Yeah, I realized that when I make meditations that I need to leave more space for that creative imagination.
Yeah. Me too. I thought, I tried, but some people, I think as they grow, leave them more space.
I think it's important to have both. I like that your YouTube has both. You have like 2-minute meditations. You have longer, like deep guided meditations.
Mm-hmm.
You have programming and almost like hypnotic meditations to like help reprogram different situations.
Mm-hmm.
You have sleep meditations. I think you have at least one. You have one for like helping release your wardrobe and becoming a new character. You have, I don't even know. You've got almost a full year's worth of ones for each meditation Monday. I am proud of you.
Yeah, we're coming up to I mean, we're near the end of November as we record this, so we're getting up there. It's getting up to 50 weeks, close to 50 weeks now.
Check out the Selo official YouTube. He's got lots of great stuff there.
Yeah, I realized if I post one every Monday of December, it will be 53 weeks.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, you're doing it.
Well.
Proud of you. Selo likes to stick with things, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah, I mean, just this posting meditation every week has been nice. I tried to do it on Mondays, but if I can't because of travel or something, I make sure to post at least sometime that week.
Well, sometimes you're making custom meditations for people, too.
Yeah, I do a lot of custom meditations, which I think is, to me, I'm starting to realize I enjoy that more than doing sessions, is getting those custom orders to make music or to make something.
Yeah, and then people get to take that with them, and it's something made specifically for them and their energy field, and they know that you took the time to help program for them. Like you called in spirit. It's almost like you channeled that specific song and energy for them, and rather than them having to come to you, which you totally offer as well, it is a nice offer that you will make them like a CD or a download that they can put on their phone. Mm-hmm. You've made me a couple for my different workshops and offerings that I give, and my tribes have always really appreciated the customization of them. Mm-hmm. And you've been doing a couple other different things with your creation. So you've been making CDs, you've made custom meditations, but you also sometimes you do voiceovers for like audiobooks and things like that. Yeah, you do a lot of really cool things.
That's a big one that I'm working on closing. Hopefully I'll be able to record with the author of the book coming up in a few days, so I can add her part to it, and then we're going to make it into a CD so that she can sell some CDs. And it's a really cool story. It's actually a really, a powerful message for kids. It's about this park that has a story in the perspective of the animals and in a perspective of these humans sometime in the near future, where they have hover cars. They go to this park and they start playing and they see ducks. So you get each perspective, and they talk about auras. It talks about humans and how violent they used to be, but now they've changed. It talks about just the connectedness of everything. And it's called the Book of Mem because in the story, Mem is a rock, and Mem is an ode to memory. So the rock is basically the memory of the land, and it records everything that happens on the land.
Almost like the Akashic Records?
Basically. So the animals can touch the rock, any rock that's around, they're all Mem, and they can go and and Mem can show them some memories that happened on that land. And so it ends up recording everything in this kid who, in one of the stories of the humans, this kid is, I think, blind or deaf. I think she's deaf, so she can touch things and communicate through touch. So she touches the rock, and the rock shares all of the knowledge with her, so she can write about it and share it with others. And it's a really cool story. So I'm repping that up here soon. She's gonna try and post that on audible.com. So
stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. Jody Walker is awesome. I believe Shannon Benson is the illustrator for that book.
Yeah.
He's awesome too. I highly suggest checking it out. She has another book that we did a book signing for when I owned my shop, and she's just a really creative writer. But I think it's awesome that you're expanding your horizons too and getting into that field of like audiobooks. So if people like Selo's voice, you need some intros, you need some things recorded, hit him up.
Thanks. Audio has been really big this year, and I do a lot of podcasts. I help people share their voice on podcasts, and that's another service I'm gearing up to offer to help build a community and be able to invest into the community.
Yes. If you guys are looking to start a podcast, you think you would be aligned with the Bring Me to Life Network, hit us up.
Yeah,
You can do so through the website or however.
If it's not aligned with what we do, I'm still willing to offer private services to help somebody start one up and and then get them rolling so then they can take over and manage it.
You can do it like on your own. You can release it on your own. We can just help you fine tune it through Shine Time Studios.
Yeah, so that's another great thing. And I've been really excited to work on all different kinds of audio. And the audiobook was really cool. It was an experience. I plan on making my own audiobook, so it was a good experience. And yeah, so many services to offer, working on getting a program going. So once I get this program going, it's going to keep rolling. I'm going to keep, improving and adding on to the foundation of what we're building with the community and ourselves.
Nice. I'm really excited about my most recent program launch.
Yeah, Manifest Your Destiny.
It's been going great.
MYD.
Manifest Your Destiny. I love my tribe. I think it's great when people show up. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer that one of my missions in life is to be people's personal cheerleader.
Help them shine on.
I love seeing people shine on. Like, Manifest Your Destiny has been so empowering for me because it's one, I get to manifest my destiny by living out my dream of inspiring others, but then I get to see all these beautiful projects. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing all these people and I'm learning more about them. And like, when I met them or when they signed up for the course, like I had an idea of what their projects were or what they wanted to make them into, but like seeing them blossom and like being willing to sit there and talk with people about what their dreams are when they like sign up for the course. You get like, they filled out like a little thing and told me a little bit about what their goals were, but then just giving them a few of the tools that have helped me and seeing how much it helps them too, and seeing and hearing the excitement in people's voice when they talk about their projects, and like you talking about how excited you are with your audio and like getting into your passion, like that fires me up. Like there needs to be more people out there cheering people on. Like, why do we not get excited for people doing and creating their own thing? Like, it's not celebrated enough. Like, we celebrate people's babies, we celebrate people's weddings. Why don't we celebrate people's businesses? Why don't we celebrate? I mean, we have grand openings and stuff, but like, I want to see families and friends like cheering their loved ones on when they decide to create something of their own, not be like, go get a real job. Like, that phrase makes me so mad. And I've seen so many people come to me being like, I want to follow my dreams. I want to do this. I want to go do that. But people always say I need to have a real job. And it's like, do you realize how much work creators put into their dreams?
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to say that Jim Carrey, a huge comedian, his father worked a normal job because he was afraid to go out and live his dream. And so he wanted to play it safe. So he got this job. And after X amount of years, he worked that for a long time. He got fired. And then all of a sudden, him playing it safe did not work out. So you can fail even if you play it safe. You get a normal job, you can get fired from it. Something could happen where you don't have it. Getting a normal job doesn't automatically guarantee your security. So you might as well, take a risk and do what you love and make it work, because you could get a normal job, but it's not going to guarantee anything.
It's just like, where there's a will, there's a way. And I just love seeing people being willing to take a risk. Like, you have to be willing to fail a little, but if you're not willing to fail a little and take the risk, like, you're not willing to live a little and to experience it. I often get kind of in those wormholes where it's like, what do people regret the most when they die? Because I've lost a lot of people. I think about death in some weird ways. Not like I'm scared of it or anything, but I often wonder, like, what do people think about when they're in that experience? Like, if they only had one day to live, what would they do? Mm-hmm. And so many of them say, like, they wish they wouldn't have been afraid. They wish they would have taken a chance. They wish they would have followed their dream, told somebody they loved them, made the art project, quit their job that they hated and did something that they loved, worked for a little less money, but was a lot happier. Like, live your life in a way that you're proud of. Like, don't keep doing the same miserable thing all the time. Don't think you're stuck. Like, yes, you have responsibilities. Yes, most of us listening consider ourselves adults in some way, but find a way to survive that isn't killing you slowly. Like, there are other options out there.
I think you just have to really shift your perspective and your belief system, because your belief system is the guidelines for how your game runs. And if you can shift that, which is why in my True Abundance meditation album, I do the deprogramming first, because you can clear any of those mental blockages and you can replace them with bridges that will help you to shift this reality around you.
Yeah, it helps you reprogram so that you can call in more abundance in a deeper way. I love that your True Abundance series goes very well with my Manifest Your Destiny program. So if you love Selo's True Abundance program, or if you've checked it out, or if you want more abundance into your life and you have a dream project, a passion project of some kind that you want to bring to life, I would love to hear from you. I'm probably going to be reopening my Manifest Your Destiny in the near future, if I'm not already, depending on when you're listening to this. But it's just a series that I've put together that shares like my journey and things that I've done through my various businesses, my spiritual business, my art consulting business, my artistic creation business, our studio, I really have been enjoying the energy that's come out of it and seeing how excited people are. And I think it's really important to follow your dreams and to call in that abundance of whatever it is. Some people want an abundance of money. Other people want an abundance of love. I think somebody once, your meditation said they just called it an abundance of energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was listening to Jessie Johnson earlier, and she said something that was really shifting for my perspective. She said that the word intention and setting an intention is fine, but making a decision really makes it a much more powerful, much more tangible, puts your ass on the line phrase, I guess, or way of putting it. So if somebody wants to change their life, instead of maybe if you've been making intentions for that and they haven't been happening, make a decision. Make a decision and tell the universe this is going to happen and it needs to happen within this deadline.
That was
something better.
That was one of the phrases I used actually in my Manifest Destiny course. Decide it and define it.
Yeah.
Decide what you want and define it clearly so the universe knows exactly what you want.
Yeah.
I feel like that happened with the car we manifested. I wanted a white Subaru. I unknowingly printed off a very specific year, and you very specifically defined that you thought it needed a DVD player. And we needed it at under X amount of miles and X amount of money. And for like a year up to that, we just kept saying we wanted a Subaru. We wanted a Subaru. We wanted then somebody said what color. So the more we defined it, not only did we decide it, we defined it. Now that's tricky because sometimes you don't want to get too picky. You always want to say we're something better because the universe might have something better in mind.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to decide it and define it and get that clarity, it's a lot more likely to manifest into your destiny.
The universe just wants to know, wants you to make a decision and stop going back and forth with stuff so that it can be like, okay, you want this to happen. And maybe something better will happen, but at least when you make that decision, the dominoes begin to fall.
Yeah. I mean, so many of us don't actually know what we want. There's been plenty of times people have been like, what do you want in life? and I probably wouldn't have known. I think I've done enough of these practices now that I'm getting pretty zoned in. And then there's still days where I'm like, okay, that's completely a different timeline. I'm on to something else now. But there's some days where it does feel like I've really like at least taken the effort to see that timeline. Again, life is always shifting, but at least try to decide it and define it and give yourself some clarity so the universe can catch up and provide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember, things change and that's okay, but continue to take action and progress and get better every day, and just keep doing that. If something changes, go with the flow and go with your heart. Go with what guides you the most, what brings your soul the most passion, the most energy, what brings you the most joy and fulfillment.
Yes. I think it's been a beautiful episode. We've talked a lot of different kinds of creation. It's been awesome. I'm excited to keep creating more content for you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking out this new series, the new website,
the new intro.
Hope you guys check out Patreon.
So we're going to be having a Patreon, and maybe next episode we'll dive into that so people can understand what
Patreon is.
What Patreon is, what we're offering for you all, and how you can help us, and what, that will be used for.
Help us help you. It's what we'd love to do.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. I think this is a great place to give you guys a break. We love you. Check in the Bring Me to Life Challenge. Check out the website, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you all. Have a great day, and namaste.
Bye.
For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.